Great oogly boogly.
We are live.
All right. Ona gadi wahi ka jokwa. So what I see is nyari. Gazit Azrio Yajets Kahawa Noji on Dudgets going to start on Nata Roni. Retinu Wado Gurunga Gadi Agessum. Yet the sort as a tank of Gurako, Dano, yet in the Stadi Honzagi, Dano Wiguscut Niganungwe. Retinu Wado a Guades in the Ganyat de Gerdo than a Guego or Guazi on Unca Suma. Sawa year and the Kundun heads at the Gawas. Retinu Wado Yeti Sota Gunhan there on the headstone. I'm going to go Rio ready how quick. I don't care again. Dam dawi out on hetzer and does it stasser and eganungwe. Dam dawi out on hetzer asset ni got darted in ganyaga haga radinato ranata roni down or riscareoge. Dono dam dawi out on hetzer guego on a gora gayana rasa go on escana dono out on hetzer and gonna soon. So as you know that whenever we get together for meeting, council, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out Honda Gadi Wadekwa first. This is where we give thanks for the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. And this part of whatever you're doing, counseling or ceremony, is of the utmost importance because it sets your agenda. The person who is doing the opening for, let's say, if you're going to be talking about running shoes. Well, then you're not going to be having somebody who has a knowledge about shirts talking about running shoes. You're going to have somebody who's the most knowledgeable in the field of running shoes, and you're going to have them do the opening. So this is always for the purpose of that the collective consciousness can be directed, focus its energy on this the specific thing, whatever it is. If it, like we said, if it's a ceremony or if it's a council. So the Honda Gadi Wadekwa is of the utmost importance for a tool, a mechanism for you to be able to affect your power into the world. So if you can imagine, let's say a building, a skyscraper. Okay, imagine if all the workers just went to the site where the building is supposed to be, and they didn't have any blueprints, they didn't have any plans. What would they do? What would they do there? They would, based on their knowledge of their historical knowledge of what each individual does, they might be able to come together like in a general direction and maybe loosely organize themselves, but without a plan, without a blueprint, without an agenda, without knowing what this thing is supposed to look like or the specifics of how it's supposed to be built, then all the workers on that site who have gone to that site will be basically useless. The building will not get built. So the Honda Gadi Wadekwa is the equivalent of the blueprint phase of any project, any building project. So Honda Gadi Wadekwa, as always, we always begin by giving thanks to our origins, and this means that here, where we are on our Mother Earth, in order for us to be here in existence, we know that our solar system has to exist first, what we identify as our solar cell. From there, we know that in order for our solar system to exist, then the galaxy, a galactic cell, has to exist. And in order for that to exist, it has to exist within the water-versal cell. And so we know then that to exist here on the level of the, compared to the waterverse, we are on a level of the very small compared to the things that we just identified: solar cell, galactic cell, water-versal cell. Compared to those things, we are cellular level. We are microscopic. We are like turtle, wolf, and bear, protons, neutrons, and electrons. We are the I can't think of the word. What protons and neutrons makes up a molecule. We are the molecular structure on that galactic scale. But then when we know that the waterversal scale to the galactic to the solar to us, then here we're looking at we're standing in the middle of all that bigness, and then from where we are, we know the small, the realm of the very small. So just imagine if we can place our mind on that grand scale of Sky Woman, and then in an instance, just bring our mind down to where we are from Sky Woman, waterversal, galactic, solar, planetary, and then the individual where we are. So come from that waterversal level to where we are right here in an instance. And from the waterversal level, you would think that we can't get any smaller than this. But once we're here, then you can see we can break things down even smaller, even more articulate. So this is the purpose of a Hondagari Wadekwa, to help a person discover their place within that continuum, as to not only discover their place, but to identify their identity within it. You claim, I claim this. This is what I am. Not meaning claim like this is mine, but I claim this is who I am. I identify as this. And so Hondagari Wadekwa centers us within that continuum and identifies who we are. And then from that Hondagari Wadekwa, we can then find our path. We can set our course. We can make our plan. We can set out to build that building once that plan is there, and everyone will know what they're working on. So Hondagari Wadekwa starts off from an individual, but it is actually, when you consider it, a Hondagari Wadekwa is actually a collective thing. It's out of the collective consciousness, but each of us in our as an individual, say like a neutron, not a neutron, a neuron within the brain, each of us then becomes the equivalent of the power of the whole brain. Each little neuron within. Once the neuron knows its place within the mind, the body of the mind, within the intellect. So to do this, to find its place within the body of the mind, the physiology of consciousness, then this is where the individual finds their place through a Hondagari Wadekwa. Now, hearing this, it might not be, maybe I'm not being clear enough, maybe I'm not concise, maybe my words or the way I'm explaining it isn't understandable to someone else. Maybe someone else hearing this the first time maybe can't even comprehend what a Hondagari Wadekwa is. Maybe cannot even comprehend the individual cell. Break it down from within us. We know quarks. We know protons, neutrons, and electrons within the molecule. We know that this molecule within the cell. We know the cell within the body. We know the body upon our mother Earth, our earthly cell, our planetary cell again within our solar cell, within our galactic cell, within our waterversal cell, into the mind of Sky Woman herself. We are, as a cell within a body, you might say, well, that individual cell, knowing there's trillions, you might think that that individual cell might be lost in the mass of cells. There might be a confusion. No, as you can see, as you can clearly deduce, that every cell within each of our bodies, no matter how messed up any of our minds may be, if we're this or we're that, if we're whatever our beliefs may be, on the cellular level, every one of us functions the same exact way. Your heart is beating the same way that mine beats, because of the same functions that takes place within the body, not within just the heart, but within the entire body. Our heart would not beat if not for the cells in our big toe and our little toe, in our eyebrow, the cells in our ear. If all those cells are not doing their thing, being that part of the body that they're supposed to be, then no part of the body is going to function. So every part of the body, every individual cell must know its place. Bringing us to the individual person upon our Mother Earth must know their place. Now, again, the Hondo Gari Wadekwa is the way to attain this. And so we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation, that when you look up into the nighttime sky, you're not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, what you are looking into at nighttime, when you go outside and look into space, you are not looking into a void. You are not looking into empty space of where there's a planet way over there and a star way over there and whatever in between. No, you are looking into the solid, living, vibrant body of our great mother, of Sky Woman herself. Just like on your body, on the level of collective consciousness that we are at, our bodies are solid. I can't stick my finger through my arm, but when we get to the cellular level, we know that those cells, the molecular level, those protons, neutrons, and electrons, turtle, wolves, and bears, they never touch each other. They are as far apart as the sun and the moon and the stars. And so on that level, looks like empty space. Same thing within our body. Seems like empty space. There is no such thing as empty space. All that is not a void, not emptiness. Like you think the way that they describe space, well, then you would think that from here to Grandma Moon is empty. Empty, nothing. How is there nothing? It's impossible for there to be nothing. There is the solidness of space, the reality. And when we look in the molecular level of our own body, we might see then, yeah, you get a microscope and you look, well, here's the cell over here, and here's another cell, and they're not touching. And so you get the perception of emptiness, something in between. No, there is not nothing in between. There is full of something in between. And the something is incomprehensible by the people of this world due to the religification of their minds, where the reality of creation is no longer known. That due to religification, everybody lives in some fantasy world where killing creation is the accepted norm. It's the standard. It's the status quo in the non-native world. Kill, 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 and you get trained to kill. You when you're a child, you're watching people get killed. You're watching entertainment that your parents, that your elders create for you. Your entertainment is that of watching people get killed, until the time of when you get older and you get a job, and your job is actually contributing to people getting killed. Or if you're not getting a direct job in the military, actually killing people, where you're really physically directly killing people. Regardless, in the whole society, that the economics, the false economics, the warring, everything, the religification, it's all part and process to a corruption of the human spirit that has humanity destroying the energy that it needs to survive. And the energy that it needs to survive, we know it's called a resource. It's called water. It's called trees. It's called air. And we're destroying it all the stuff that we need to survive. And so the fact here is that this is happening. It's not a fantasy that I'm making up. This is the reality of what the non-native world is doing. They are destroying all of creation. And yeah, at this point you could say, hey, me too, I'm on board with that. Well, I'm not on board with it. I didn't buy my ticket to ride on this vessel. No, we are an unwilling participant in this corruption that the white European has spread around the world. Now, why would the white European spread this around the world? The white European is born of this world the same way that we are. So why would they do this? We can look back from, well, if we consider from where we're at, everybody right now who lives in the so-called United States, so-called Canada, so-called North and South America, anybody who lives here who is not of the blood of Turtle Island, you cannot even see any longer. You don't even have any idea, any clue as to what your motion is, what your direction is, what is your drive in being here in Turtle Island. What do you do while you are here in Turtle Island other than destroy? This is one of the things that I challenge any non-native person to identify. Tell us, what do you do? What is your identity? Now, somebody can say, oh, my identity, I'm, I don't know, heel mother, or somebody who plants trees. Okay, well, if you're somebody who plants trees and you're paying taxes to so-called United States or Canadian government, and that's going into military efforts around the world, then what the hell good does it do for you to plant trees? Your planting trees is actually just to compensate for the death, murder, and destruction that your corporation is doing all around the world. So the non-native world can't even focus to understand as to what they are, what you represent. What are you in this world? And so, again, this is how a true being finds their place, can answer all of these questions, can become who they are really supposed to be in this world, to manifest out of nothing. Now, think of this. We know, like what was just said, there's nothing in between the planets, nothing in between the stars. Well, we know there's something. There is the power, there is the energy, there is cellularity. And so people thinking that there's nothing there, well, there's a void then in people's minds, a void of knowledge, of understanding. And when you have a void of knowledge, of understanding, let's say, just for argument's sake here, you got a distance of 10 feet, but you only know of 8 feet. What happens with the other 2 feet? Where are those other 2 feet? Are they at the beginning? Are they at the end? Are they somewhere in between? Are they broken up into percentages and spread out all over the place to where you don't know and you won't be able to detect? Which part of your knowledge, of your existence, is missing? You got no way of knowing. You would never know. Anybody who does have parts of their memory missing or just knowledge missing, well, what could that person know? What could they detect? Now, if you were building something very complex that was, say, like a heart, like a beating heart, and let's say the beating heart has 5 parts to it that you put together, and let's just say, for argument's sake, that you only got 4 parts. And you're putting those 4 parts together. You don't know about the 5th part. You're only working with these 4. Now, when you put these 4 together and you know what a heart is supposed to do, and then with just those 4 parts, you can see clearly that it's not working as it should be, then it's easy. You can then detect, you can deduce there's something missing. So the first step on this journey of discovering what is missing, of putting yourself back together, of becoming a human, is to first begin with a Honda Gutty with Dekwa, to center yourself, to know who you are, where you are, when you are, to be able to affect your power into this world. As it is right now, nobody in this world, all 7 billion people, do not know who they are, where they are, when they are, and therefore their energy, their collective energy, is going to use by someone else, by something else. You are not using your energy. You think you are when you go to the store. Big deal, you go to the store and you buy soda. You're using your energy? No, you're not using your energy. You're basically just running on your reserve energy. Your real energy of what you expend on a daily basis is going, it's being bastardized, and it's going to destructive efforts such as whatever the hell it is that you do 8 hours a day. And that's not only 8 hours a day what your destructive efforts are. As you know, if you're spending an hour in the morning in rush hour traffic and an hour and a half in the afternoon, well, there's 10 and a half hours. And then when you got 10 and a half hours chunk out of your day and you need 8 hours sleep and you need some time to yourself, you'll find eventually you'll conclude that your energy isn't going to a damn thing of which you yourself determines. It's all going for something else predetermined for you. And so, Ahondagari Wadekwa, we give our thanks to the great spiral of creation, to Sky Woman herself, as it is Sky Woman who has given us spirit. From there to our mother, to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to our grandmother Moon. It is she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of where you have grown out from her, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, whatever else you imagine divides us. We all obviously came from the same mother. And so this makes us all sisters, brothers, all relations, all together. We're all one family. Imagine we're all cells in the same body, but imagine the cells from my right hand coming over to my left hand and just smashing them with a hammer or cutting them up with a knife, and the right hand just consuming the left hand. That would be insanity. Of course, that's suicide on the collective level. But to the individuals who are stupid enough to conduct themselves in such a way, they are consuming energy. So to them who are doing this, and they believe that they're getting rich in energy, but it's a hoarding, and a hoarding actually ends something, ends the use or the usefulness of something. So let's say apples, okay, apples are becoming, as everybody do. They'll all go out and run and they'll hoard apples. What will this do to the collective life of apples? It will end the collective life of apples. It will hasten it. It will not prolong it. It will not make it longer when people hoard, because hoarding by
I don't think.
why don't you come on this side?
Okay, because I didn't want to get, I think I'm still in front of the camera.
When I beat this, you can't hear it, eh?
Hang on, it's because they are, oh yeah, they are hearing you.
On the Zoom?
Yeah, when I
Yes, we can, but sometimes we don't. When it's too loud, we don't.
thought it cuts off. Okay, just to continue, hopefully we won't get cut out again. We just changed we put the cable right into the computer, so see what happens. Okay, so where we were, to center ourselves from Mother Earth, we give our thanks to all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they carry the sacred title of life giver into the world. There's two things on our Mother Earth: life giver, life protector. I, as a male, am supposed to be a life protector. I will not exist without the life giver. So I automatically acknowledge, it's automatically established as to the sacred title, as to the role of importance, as to the superiority of mother to the male. Yeah, everybody wants to believe equality. Who do you think said that? There's two people. Who do you think says equality? Do you think the mother ever says equality? No. There's no. There's no reason for a mother to say equality. because a mother with her children, it's automatically established in their lives. The children know that they are equal. There is no discerning importance of the firstborn to the second or the last, whatever. The children of a proper mother are all knowing that they are loved equally, regardless of if they are a life giver or a life protector. And so with this established in the natural way since the beginning of time, that the natural order, the acknowledgement of the natural order within the original peoples of Turtle Island has been the thing that enabled us to establish peace. Because a mere resistance to the natural order, no, women are not first, men are first. You know what that mere resistance does? It causes war for thousands of years. Because in the corruption of false man-made religions, male dominance, that says equality, it's only the male that says that, not the female. The male says equality because that means from his end that he is equal power to the female, to the life giver. How could the male be equal power to the life giver? You can say I'll say any dumbass will come out and say, hey, males have an equal role in creation. Yeah, look at the reality of the non-native world as to what the equal role of males in creation has been. And then try to talk sense. The non-native world doesn't have the reality of creation to be able to utilize it as a foundation to the application of their thoughts. Apply your thoughts into the world. Well, the thoughts of the non-native world is male dominant. It's male first. It's war. It's all corruption. And so to have a proper place understood, it is for the male to identify that the life giver is the primary. This, in the individual male's mind, establishes that we are secondary. Once we accept that we are secondary, then we can be equal, only by being second. Because only by being second, you put the other first. Once you put the other one first, then you are equal. Because you are giving them, let's say, for instance here, okay, we're passing medicine around. Okay, give me my medicine. Oh, that's me first. But let's put everybody else first, and here's your medicine. What do I have? Well, I'll go around and I'll give a piece of medicine to everybody. Everybody's gonna have all the medicine except me. But by me putting everybody first and giving them medicine, you know who's gonna end up having more medicine? Me. Not because I hoard it, but because everybody that I put first and I give them medicine, and by the end they're gonna see that I don't have any, everybody is gonna give me a piece of their medicine, and that's gonna mean that I'm gonna end up having more medicine than what I would have hoarded. Because hoarding means that in the process of hoarding, let's say you start off with 100, you're not actually hoarding 100. You're gonna lose. There's gonna be some that are just gonna, like dead skin, that you're gonna end up losing. That's what hoarding does. Hoarding loses the capacity of that, or the amount or the mass of it. So let's hoard a whole bunch of apples and let's see what happens to them. We know what's going to happen to them. They're going to rot. But if I don't hoard and I give them out to people, those apples are not going to rot, and those apples can be replanted. Instead of my mentality of hoarding them, other people will end up giving me apples. So the way to be equal, the way to have fairness in the world is not to expect it. You don't have the right to fairness. You don't have the right to freedom. You don't have the right to anything. But you have the right to earn the right to it. Everybody has that. And so to earn your right to it, well, then that means that if we're talking about apples again, then to earn my right to it is once I give it out, the people give it back to me. That's my right to it. By being fair, by being just in the first instance, the individual ensures they're planting those seeds, that's what they're going to get back. Of course, now when we're talking about in the non-native world, well, logic and normal normal realities of creation don't apply. Just don't apply in the non-native world. I mean, the process, the purpose of us coming together is to reestablish this, to rebuild this within the non-native society. It's not going to happen for everybody in the non-native society. And let's say non-native society, let's just say you're going to get wiped out anyways. Well, if you're going to get wiped out, well, oh, why should I be good? Why should I do this? Shouldn't I go for that billions of dollars? And in the process, you are hoarding, and you will guarantee that you will be the cause of your own end. And so the purpose of everything of the teachings, the sharings, is to establish a larger network of like-minded people. Now, you don't have to be native, you don't have to be Ganyagahaga to be like-minded to truth. Let's all be like-minded to truth. Try that. Everybody, I dare you. All of a sudden, you're going to find out if you're what did I just say there? Faithful to truth. If your agenda is truth, and then we start talking about the truth, you're going to find out all the things that you ally yourself with. You're going to find out that you shouldn't be allied with them. First and foremost, if you're a non-native person and you're here in so-called Canada or United States and you want to examine the truth, the first thing you will arrive at, in as far as the truth, is that you cannot be part of the corruption of so-called United States or Canada, because it's a corruption. It's a gang of murderers. How could you be a good person who's benefiting from the conduct of a gang of murderers? You cannot be a good person. And so to really understand the our connections on all the dimensions that we live. Now, in the non-native world, you hear that you are three-dimensional beings. So your existence is pretty much structured within three dimensions. But there is so much more to us than just three dimensions. We are living multi-dimensions every day. And if we are not balanced in one little dimension, let's say you're in the middle of a Rubik's Cube, you're inside of it. And if you're not balanced there, if you don't have your truth of up and down right there, left and right, then that's going to affect the whole entire rest of the cube. All of it will be out of balance. So each and every single one of us has the responsibility to attain balance. Now, you got to consider, is this in the non-native world? Has this been accessible? Has it been possible? Each individual can say, oh, I am one with the universe. Big goddamn deal. Is your conduct actually one with the universe? Or is it one destroying the universe? For most people, it is one you destroying the universe, complying with everyone else who's a part of that collective, all destroying the universe, the waterverse. And so finding ourselves, centering ourselves within this whole mass of life is paramount. And to do that, we must establish clearly in our minds what the steps are as to how we got here. If you don't establish the steps of how we got here, then you have no importance in your life. You have nothing sacred in your life. You have nothing to live for, nothing to fight for, nothing to protect. The reality is, this is where you are. All 7 billion people are in this precise place, frame of mind, where the mind does not work. It just does not work within the reality of what we are, because everybody has been altered to, again, we say it all the time, probably get tired of hearing it, everybody has been altered to work to destroy creation. Now, when you can establish and prove and put forward that you are not a part of it, then you have a responsibility to show the rest of the world the way out of the mess that they have stepped into. And so I am not saying that I have the answer, or I know, or I am separate, or I have escaped that whatever that everybody else is stuck in. Maybe I am more in it than everybody else. Maybe some people are only up to here. Maybe I'm up to over my head in it. Well, this is up for you, the individual, to determine. When you hear all of the, I won't say facts, but when you hear all of the elements presented, then you yourself have the power, have the responsibility to determine, is this set of whatever information, is this block of information correct compared to this other one? Is this other information the proper whatever? Let's say if we're looking for the understanding of who we are, where we are, when we are, then we're looking at the blueprint to creation. So you got to determine, that person over there, do they have the blueprint to creation? Do I? When you're listening to somebody else who's telling you something and you know that this person's mind is in the clouds, that can you establish yourself what the truth is of that, whatever that topic is? You know, just because you hear somebody else talking with their mind in the clouds about something doesn't mean, just because you can detect it doesn't mean that you know what the truth is about what they're talking about. It just means you can detect the bullshit. Big deal. People can detect bullshit without knowing what the truth is. As we know, we see all around us in the world, it's bullshit all over the place, and the whole world believes it. There's no truth. So just because you can detect the bullshit does not mean that you know what the truth is. And it most definitely does not mean that you are living within it or upholding it or exercising it or whatever. And so the truth is, the reality is that as a male, I am born of female. And so I must acknowledge this and give thanks in the proper order of creation, from Sky Woman to Grandma Moon to Mother Earth to then all the women who are the propagators, perpetuators of the living cycle of creation. And so this makes them the primary. And in my mind, I am certain of this. I don't have to ask anybody to question about this. I don't have to put doubt in my mind. I don't have to allow this corruption of where man says all men are created equal. Again, that's true. Men are created equal, but they're most definitely not equal to women. It will never be. It can never be. I will never be equal to my mother. It's impossible. But my mother makes me equal to her. And how she does that is through the living love process of giving me love, showing me love. When she does this, we all know what it does for our happiness, our happiness level. You know, just think, when you're older, what is it that makes you happy? You're driving around in a Lamborghini, flying around the world in a jet, laying in the sun by the water. What is it that makes you happy? Well, when you're older, there's a lot of complexities to the experiences that we have to have us prefer certain experiences. But when we're younger, when we are children, babies, the experience, no matter what it is, it's not like as babies we can go mountain climbing or something, but as babies, no matter what the experience, it is directly filtered through the love of our mother. It's filtered through her heart, and not just to say, like, as a metaphor, oh, look at a mother bake cookies for a child, and you say, oh, it's cooked from the heart, baked from the heart. No, it literally, it is right through the heart of our mother. Whatever our mother does and gives to us, provides for us as children, this is flowing right through her heart. The love is flowing through her blood, and her blood flowing through her mind, establishing the record of the journey of life. And in that journey of life, clearly the main theme all the way through, as the mother perpetuating life, clearly the theme of life is love. And so here we can look at, well, the corruptions that exist in the world, all people who are arguing, who are fighting, who are dividing, who are killing, you are all anti-life. People who are in the military, you are anti-life. But people who are in the military all view themselves as good people. They're crazy. Military people are crazy people because you view yourselves as good people and you view yourselves as people who know and understand things. You view yourselves as the only people who know the true politics of what's really going on in the world, and you pump the minds of your children full of the lie of that you going to kill people is what protects them here at home or wherever, or that killing people protects them. You're just crazy people. Non-native people in all of your practices, especially that of standing militaries, you are insane. You would have to be completely insane to allow such a practice around your children, where you collectively all put energy, put money into something to pay people, to train people, to kill. Who are they going to kill? Well, if it's not your children that you're going to end up taking this training to end up learning how to kill somebody else's children, then it's going to be your children who will get killed. And it'll be you who will get killed. It will be you who will suffer. And for so many years, for so long, everybody just thought, no, it's not me. I could just keep pursuing the so-called American dream. I can keep going after my happiness and hoarding it. Well, for people who were alive in the 1700s, they didn't see the end of the corruption of their ways. 1800s, they didn't see the end of it. 1900s, they didn't see the end of it. You, where you are, you're seeing the end of it. You're seeing the end of the corrupted ways of just in your lifetime, of the lifetime of the people alive in the 1900s, the people in the 18s, in the 17s, 16s, all the way back to whenever the male dominant corruption started in the white European society. So this identifies to us then that if you are of the ancestry of white European, you have a lot of catching up to do intellectually. Intellectually, the white European identifies that nuclear power is a thing to do. So it tells us that intellectually, the white European, their mind is scrambled. It's upside down. Nuclear power is good for you. Let's pursue it. Killing yourself is good for you. Let's pursue it. We'll live longer. The more we kill ourselves, the longer we'll live. The more energy we'll provide for ourselves to kill ourselves while we're dying. This is some kind of insanity. And this is what we've always identified, that the non-native world has illogical logic. And once you're locked in it, you can't get out of it because it is logical. It's logical in an illogical way. And once you're locked in it, you are in a backwards, upside down thinking process that you can never get out of. You are behind the mirror. And when you're behind the mirror, you're not living in reality. You're living in a reflection. Something that maybe it's the reflection of reality, or maybe it's the reflection of something manufactured, because reflection is not reality. So reflection can also be projected like a hologram. And so from there, we give our thanks to Sawyerda, the life force that flows between all things. Sawyerda, where is it? What is it? Look at this, right in between my fingers. You see space there? Is that space? Or is there something there? their energy flowing in between it. If I can squeeze my fingers and pull them apart, squeeze them back together, we know that there's an energy there that is that these fingers may be individual, but they are working collectively together. So there is some energy that is being woven between them. This is Sawyerda, the energy that flows between all things. The leaf on the top of the tallest tree, the worm that's deepest into the earth, the root of whatever plant that takes up the most earth space, you know. So on every level that you can think of, from molecular again to right to the water versal level, our understanding of it, our knowledge of it, and the way that we function within it must all be in accordance with that's gonna go. Now, what is that? Great law of peace? What is it? It's words. What do those words identify? The blueprint of creation. So, like we said earlier, if all these workers just went to a site, the ground, no ground broken, they're just standing around on the ground, what do? They come together with blueprint, so you can have all kind of workers. You can have first somebody comes along and surveys the ground where there's nothing there. What are they doing? Surveying. They're looking through whatever they call that thing, measuring. What does that got to do with a building, a physical building that's going to be there prior to it being built? It's almost like here on this level, like where there's nothing in between. That's like the equivalent of where they're doing surveying on the ground for a building that's about to come there, that's about to show up, because all the workers come. All these workers, from engineer after that to the bulldozer operator to the laborers who are doing the cement forms, and then the iron workers and the laborers, all these people then, all with their minds, all focused on their their agenda, then they can work. Then they can build something together from the blueprint that they all know and understand. And so from that blueprint, we give thanks to from Sawyerda to Kundun Hetzedat Gawis. That's the life givers in all strains of life, not just mothers of humans. We know what they look like. Maybe human mothers, maybe they look ugly to spiders. But you ever see a spider mother carrying, you see like all babies on her back, and you see that and you go, it looks ugly. Yeah. Well, a spider mother looking at a human mother with a baby, they might look just as ugly, you know. But the thing is that on that level of that spider mother carrying around her spider babies, that is beautiful. That is love. That is Sawyerda, the life force flowing through all things. That's love. That's what the Kundun Hetzedat Gawis presents into the world. Love at every level of growth. So let's say if I reach out only this far from my body, 2 feet from my body, that's all I can do all the time. Well, then if I can reach out just a 1/4 inch more tomorrow, wow, that would make me feel like powerful. I could reach further than I did. There's more growth, more mass to me, more diversity. So the diversity is created through Kundun Hetzedat Gawis, through the life givers, the mothers in all strains of life. So we give thanks to them because in this world, they give us purpose and direction. And how they do that is like that mother spider who's carrying around all her baby spiders on her back. She's giving them purpose and direction by showing them. Living, being the living example. And so from there, we give our thanks to all the medicine, all the waters, all the medicines, and all the shapes and forms they come in, and knowing that everything is made 100% of water. This fan, this eagle's wing here, It's a nice mess. It's beautiful, used many different ways for many different things, but it's made of 100% water. The same way that this wood is made of 100% water. Wow, this one, ooh, if I hit myself in the head, start bleeding. This one, well, it helped me cool off. So we can see that the diversity of water, or the power of water to grow into the diversity of things that we see in this world today, of course, is what is the medicine. That's the medicine of Sky Woman. She was this, and then tomorrow she's this, and then she's this other thing, and then the next day she's this and this and another thing, and then the next day she's this, and one more thing. Every day she becomes more and more beautiful, but for her to have that beauty different each day, there is a growth. This is the Sawayerda, the energy exercised through Tgundun Hetzerat Gawas, the energy flowing through the life givers. So it's spirit. It's first spirit. It's love, manifest only through the life givers. And so once we acknowledge this process, once we become aware of the science of it, of how the spirit manufactures love, manufactures happiness, manufactures dreams, then we'll come to realize that, yes, we are in the mind of our mother. We are the thoughts. We are the dreams. We're the visions. And just like in the brain, if there's a dream there, there's a dream of a tree. How does it manifest? To the Sawayerda, the living life force from the mind connecting to the body, to the physical. And as you know, how thoughts come about. I got a thought to pick my nose. So next thing you know, I'm lifting my finger to pick my nose. So if I have a dream of a tree in my mind, then the hands, the twins that Yonki Adizu has given me, then I can utilize that power, Sawayerda, through them, have those hands manifest and fabricate the dream of that tree. And this is how here in Turtle Island that the mothers established peace for everyone. Peace. Try to find that in the non-native world. Do you know what that means? Have you ever known what peace means? You can say you think you know. Nope, you don't know. You have never known in the non-native world what peace is. It's been at least about 37 to 4,000 years, 3,700 years to 4,000 years since you have had an inkling, an idea, a notion of peace. So, you know, after a while, after like 3,000 or 4,000 years, you're gonna even forget what peace looks like. You're not even gonna know what to talk about any longer. You're not even gonna have that dream in your mind anymore. And so the purpose for us coming together is to remind the person who has been brainwashed, the person who has had their mind wiped clean of the knowledge of creation and had male dominance shoved into their mind, that person has no clue of what they're missing. They got no clue of what's wrong with them. You're religious, you're a fanatic. I don't care what religion. If you are religious, you are automatically a fanatic. As a fanatic, you do not have a balanced mind, because any person believing in a false thing tells you that there is no logicizing with them. There is no arriving at a proper logical conclusion with them, because there is always some fantasy that is altering the truth in their mind, right in front of their eyes. Here's the tree. No, it's not a tree. It's altered in their mind. It's a resource. It's not a tree. It's not. Because if it was a tree, you would not be able to cut it down. Only as a resource are you enabled to cut it down? Because like a lung in your own body, if you know that that's your lung and that's what makes you breathe and you need that to breathe, you're not going to cut out your own lung. You'd be a retard if you did. It'd be suicidal. So when we look at the collective of humans in the world and they're all doing that, well, yeah, okay, they're suicidal. Okay, so in a nutshell, you all know a Honda Gari Wadekwa, you know the purpose for it, the intent behind it, the drive behind it. So now here in these Saturdays, this is the second one now outside of our Ganyangeha classes, that when the Ganyangeha classes stopped 2 weeks ago. So now this is the second time, 3 weeks ago actually, or 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago. This is only the second time we're coming back within this time slot. So just as to say that this time slot, it's going to be done solely in English. As you know, on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, we do English, French, and even sometimes translated into Spanish now. But normally it's English, French. On every second Sunday, it's normally English, Spanish. So this is going to be just English. And it's not going to be all the time. It's not going to be from 7 to 9 all the time. Sometimes it might be from 7 to 7:15. It's not going to be something that is solidified in stone. It's something that will be here for us to touch base on together. If there is something of, let's say there's something of great importance that's going to arise in between a Wednesday and a second Sunday. There might be something really of importance, especially now that we're coming up to the 8th moon. So this will be this talk, discussion, gathering will be first and foremost for we'll say cultural purposes. We know that Wednesdays it's more like law, two-row wampum stuff. This still is going to be that, but it's going to be more cultural things, anything about Longhouse, ceremony, law, this and that. Yeah, it's going to be more of this. So if anybody has questions of things specifically of law or ceremonies or cultural practices, or who has 3 fellers and who has only 1 feller, you know, stuff like that, then this is the kind of stuff that we're going to address. Also, going to be utilized for as a bridge for the Women's Nation. That, as you know, the Women's Nation gathers once a moon, every new moon, and of course they got meetings here and there. But this Saturdays will be like a 2-row wampum bridge for Women's Nation, and yeah, that contract. So let's see. Okay. One thing that we wanted to discuss here or start people to understand about is protocols. Protocol. What is that when we're talking about that? Talking about law. Anybody who has anything to do with us, with Ganyangahaga, people of the Longhouse, people of the 5 nations, or people of the 6 nations, or people of the Iroquois, whatever, however your reference wants to be, anybody knowing or having connection to us in any way or level knows of great law of peace. Everybody knows that there is council, and in council there are rules, there is order to council, structure. Okay, so this means that if you came into my house, you know you're automatically going to be exposed to law. You're going to know protocols. So there's a reason why we're addressing this specific tonight. Because personally, I'm sick and tired of people hiding behind bullshit, hiding behind nonsense beliefs, nonsense causing divisions and problems for no reason. I'm sick and tired of that. I ain't going to put up with that kind of stuff. Here, we're in a Zoom, and people think that they can conduct themselves a certain way because they don't know that you're not in a council. Now, if you're in a council, you would not be able to be chatting with that person over there. You would not be able to be on the phone with somebody else talking to them about something, or looking at your device and be doing this or whatever. None of those things would be applicable. And that would mean you would only be focused 100%. And if you were focused 100%, but since you're doing this, doing that, you're not focused, and the concepts that are being presented are not coinciding with the perceptions, are not coinciding with the concepts. So the person is lacking. So protocols are applied. Now, when protocols are applied, this is the thing here that I'm going to address. There was recently a person here, and many of you probably know of this, that was just causing a problem. And they're presenting time and time again, a problem. And whenever it was addressed, well, when I addressed it publicly, well, then they just stay quiet. And then they said, oh, I had no problem. And oh, I really like it. I get along and whatever. We hear this. And then we see the problem again. Constantly, this has happened over the last few years. And to the point of where the person says to one of the women within the Women's Nation, when protocols are referenced, they then say, whose protocols? Stewart's? Why would that person say that? If you were in, if this person was in a Handsome Lake House, she knows that she'd be subjected to the protocols of Handsome Lake House. And if she decided to stay there, she knows she is applying to the protocols of Handsome Lake. So if she got into the point then of where she's in a dispute with somebody in that house, why, when it would come to the point of where they would say, hey, you got to apply the protocols, why would that person then say, whose protocols? John Smith's protocols? Why would they say that? The person says this as a deflection away from truth, as a deflection away from law and protocols, when that person knows, as a matter of fact, that there is laws and protocols. So this is the kind of nonsense that we are stopping. And how this Saturday night contact is going to be part of this process of where we can have a more, say, like a gloves off discussion, address things, conclusion, process things in their proper ways so that we get to the right conclusion, and not have nonsense people continuously when they get to a dead end to say whose protocols, and then say this person's protocols. Go to hell to somebody else's house, go somewhere else, go to Europe and go follow the white man's protocols. How many people are going to do that and accept it? No. But when it comes to Longhouse, and when it comes to a person wanting their push their corruption, it always comes down to that person dividing, not only in their own mind, but dividing people. They divide by, I'm so poor, you're picking on me, I'm not this bad, I didn't intend to do this. Nonsense. Nonsense. Protocols are being applied to you. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are. If you're that asshole they call the poop that's here now coming into so-called Canada, the protocols are going to be applied to this guy also. Nobody's going to be free of protocols. I don't care who you are, where you are from, what you do, any kind of contact with any people of the Longhouse, of so-called Iroquois, of 5 nations, 6 nations, of Great Law of Peace, any people such as this, Longhouse people, Mohawks, you're going to have protocols. So choose whose protocols you want to abide by. This is my warning to all of you now. You have one moon. And you can say, well, maybe you got one moon to decide. I say you don't have a moon to decide whose protocols that you're going to abide by, because you don't know protocols, you don't know law, you don't know process. So You might not want that. That's perfectly fine for us. Move along. Move along somewhere else. Do not bother us. No reason to bother us. And I say this specifically to that person, and she knows, you know, I'm talking to you. There is no cause for such things, and I say happily, move along. I got no qualms with that. So this kind of stuff is going to be addressed, applied. This Saturday night thing will be a 2-row wampum bridge for any issues such as this. It will be also mainly when we can a focal to focus on the language. But now that we don't have a Ganyangeha teacher, now the only way we're going to focus on it is by revisiting old classes about the law and to process all of that and like put it into proper book form to coincide Ganyangeha with English translation as to written version of Great Law of Peace. So this will be here Saturday nights. Like we said, it's not going to be something that is going to be every Saturday it's going to be this or that. It's going to be something that is very flexible. It's a living process. So as like we said, sometimes it's going to be only 15 minutes. Sometimes it'll be 7 to 9. Most likely we're not ever going to go over the 7 to 9, the 2-hour period. When we look at the other times when we're speaking and it goes long, that's because there's translation. So, you know, when we go 5 hours, that's really only because there's 2 hours. Because 2 hours of speaking and then translating turns it longer. You know, like if I speak for 2 hours on something, the translation is going to be 2.5 hours or longer. So, okay. With that introduction, I don't know if there was anything that I missed. What was said that we were going to discuss here tonight? Did I already address that? No?
Not specifically. It was about like for anybody specifically in the Life Givers Nation that had any doubts, questions, clarifications about any protocol that we utilize, that we are not the experts at all, that it's the Longhouse. That would be like an open forum.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's what was said. So that in the introduction, this is what this is going to be from now on, Saturday night. So you know that we're going to be here. It's going to be a place for us to touch base. We're not going to be here for the full 2 hours each time. Sometimes, again, we're only just going to come here to say, hey, how's everybody? Does anybody got anything to report? If not, okay, we're going to call it an early evening tonight. Sometimes it'll be like that. Okay, so then right now, today is one of those very extremely hot days again. Very almost debilitating, you know, where even walking around is not on the same energy level as normal. I don't know if anybody else can feel that or detect that, but you know, just like if there is cold applied to you, that's going to affect your muscles. It's going to affect your internal organs. It's going to affect even your thinking. So cold does that. On the other end of the spectrum, heat does the same thing. You know that in the summertime, if your head gets hot enough, you can start to experience delirium. You could even call that when you see things hallucinate from the heat on your head. And it doesn't even have to be direct sunlight. It could just be heat. But when there's heat and then direct sunlight, it really amplifies things. So today was really one of those really debilitating days. Sit by the water and jump in every 2 minutes. So with that being said, if there is anything then, Women's Nation, anything that anybody wanted to, any questions? If not, yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. I'm Marie-Claude, the great-granddaughter of Marie-Louise, granddaughter of Yvette, daughter of Francine, temporary Bear Clan representative in the Life Givers Nation. In the Bear Clan, recently we had there's a protocols that say that we have to be concise, we don't have to repeat, we have to be to the point. But we find it really hard sometimes to know, because the person is, expressing themselves, and sometimes they have to go, a whole story to get to the point. Do you have any advice when this happens, or how we manage this?
Okay, this is like what I said. People are having normal human communication all bastardized because of this medium. Because of this, we are no longer communicating proper. So you got to think, how would it work if we weren't in a Zoom? If we weren't in a Zoom, in order for us to be talking like this, we would all physically have to be in the same location. Okay, so that's Longhouse. And when you're in Longhouse, there's protocols, law. Now, when you're in council in the Longhouse, there is what's identified as war chief. Now, war chief, that's a bastardization, also wrong translation right now from Ganyangeha into English. But it's basically like in non-native world, of, like if you have a thing called sergeant of arms or sergeant at arms, whatever. He's the person who keeps order, in the place. So the war chief within the council will keep order if a person is going off of track, off of subject, the war chief will keep that person on track and remind them to come back to the subject. You look anywhere in any level of government or any board, they have this this thing, anyways, the equivalent. So the problem with what yous are experiencing is that yous are partially face-to-face meeting, and then there's people who are on the Zoom spread out around the world. And when you have this, there's different minds, different thinking from around the world, and they want to apply what they think. It doesn't work that way. Protocol of the Longhouse is what's going to apply. And if people don't like that, like we said, move along, hurry up and get out of our hair so that we don't have the problems from you and that you don't have the problems from us that you are perceiving. So the quick solution here is that any non-native person, especially for the Women's Nation, that the Women's Nation in the Women's Declaration has adopted the Great Law of Peace. And it's identified where yous are working. Yous aren't working with 6 nations. Yous are working with 5 nations. And it doesn't say that yous are working with Handsome Lake. As a matter of fact, yous identify that yous have nothing to do with false man-made religion. So yous are clearly aligned with the Longhouse under the Great Law of Peace. And clearly the Longhouse up the hill. So anybody who comes in with any kind of other ideas, too bad for them. Too bad. It does not matter what your ideas are, what your opinion is, especially non-native people. You're going to be coming into the Women's Nation that is linked through Turo Wampum to the Longhouse Great Law of Peace. Non-native people, are you coming in with knowledge of Great Law of Peace? Are you coming in with knowledge of council? No, you are not. So keep those thoughts to yourself. Keep those thoughts not even to yourself, because those are garbage thoughts. It's thoughts how you have been trained in corruption. Get that out of your head. So in the Women's Nation, like it or not, you are connected to this Longhouse here, and this Longhouse here has defined clearly what the protocols are of the Great Law of Peace. And this is identified in the Women's Declaration. So any woman who comes into the Women's Nation and then wants to start presenting her own ideas or whatever, like I said, no, it's not going to fly. And if you're going to think that you're this woman who's going to come and do this, and I'm not going to say something, have anything to say about it because it's a Women's Nation, forget about it. It's not going to happen because the Women's Nation is established through the Longhouse, through the protocols of the Degere Diohade under the Great Law of Peace. These protocols here. So any woman who has in their mind that they're going to do this or they're going to do that, or you have this other thought, move along. Just move along. Get over yourself and move along, or else get over yourself and get yourself into order and accept the protocols that are being applied. If you want peace, we're not going to fight with you. We're not going to argue with you over it. No, we're going to apply it to you. And so all women, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your status is, what nation you are, doesn't matter. Law. That's what's going to be applied. That's the only thing that is going to be applied. So from now on, you're going to have to start practicing somebody who's going to fill the position of war chief, but it has to be somebody who knows within the Women's Nation, who knows the most amount of law. Because you're not going to have somebody who's just come into the Women's Nation last week and give them that job of trying to keep people on track when they don't know what all the protocols are, when they don't know even that the Women's Nation has said this and they're trying to apply something else. No, you don't act like children. We're adults. There's protocols and they will be adhered to. So Women's Nation, get that understanding and start and know that in your next meeting, you're going to have somebody who's going to sit there and who's going to tell you you're off of track. You got to get back on track. Stop talking about the coffee that you had this morning when you went to this thing and you saw that thing and this and that. You're going to stop talking about nonsense and you're going to focus. And when somebody tells you who that's their position to tell you that you are off of track, you're going to listen. And you're not going to continue to persist because you're not here to tell us. That ain't going to happen. You're here to listen, to learn. And if it's not too late, you're here to be safe. And if you don't like that, if you think you can be safe somewhere else, go. If you think you can learn somewhere else, go. If you think somewhere else has something to offer you, go now. Do not stay here. Go. Protocols are applied here. So that is the only advice. So this might mean that in your next meeting, we might have to have a two-row wampum bridge to establish it, to show you how it works, how to do it. I don't know if this answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Another question too, in the Bear Clan, there were members saying they want to be speaking to other members of other clans. And there was like some talk about creating themselves like a Zoom so they can meet and talk. Of course, you know, personal, we don't say anything, but that's where it's crossing. And we have examples that didn't really work of this happening because again of protocols. So what are your feedback on this?
Okay, I'm a wolf clan. Can I talk to a bear clan? Not stopping me. Can I talk to a turtle clan? There's no law saying that I can't. But when you're in council, wolf does not talk to bear. Bear does not talk to turtle, except through official process. So anybody who's got this crazy idea that, hey, if you're from the Bear Clan and you want to start talking with women in the council from the other clans, get that crazy idea out of your damn head. That ain't gonna happen. What you're doing is you're mixing apples and oranges, and you're affecting something at the molecular level. Sort of like if you're baking a cake and you're trying to leave out one ingredient or add in an ingredient, and that's going to affect the outcome of your cake. No, it ain't going to happen. Again, I'll say it, get over yourself. If you think you know better, go and do it somewhere else. Simple as that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did it adjust? That wasn't even a question, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so let me expand on this a little bit. In council, the wolf has to send something across to the bear. And the bear then has to send it back. And then once it's there, if it's agreed to, then the turtle has to affirm it. This is all clear protocols. Where does anybody get the idea that they're going to do something different than that? This is a corruption. And like I said, I'm not going to put up with it. It's not going to fly here. And some of you know, and you can take this fatalistically if you like, but I'm warning you in advance. Some of you know that you can try to push your idea. It does not matter. Your opinion does not matter. There is an agenda that is being complied with here. There is a protocol that is being complied with. If nobody likes any part of it, you do not have to have any connection to us. As a matter of fact, if you don't like those things, please sever your connection to us. Please do it now. Anything else on?
Elsa has something to say. Go ahead, Elsa.
Elsa, can you hear us?
Okay, I'm Elsa, daughter of Lisa, granddaughter of Leah, great-granddaughter of Valenina. I'm from Wabanaki Nation. I have two things. First thing, would it be possible for you to go quickly over what protocols are so everybody knows that that's what we are talking about? And second thing, you talked about the war chief. So I believe that, for example, a Left Givers Nation, the council, there would be one person, that would be the war chief. But I think maybe we could have that person also in every council, clan council. So that's the new things I wanted to ask.
Okay, first off, what protocols, any specific protocols are you talking about?
I'm talking about not talk about somebody or for other people like gossip, not be raising hands or waiting for somebody to finish, not interrupting, or like a few basic protocols that we wouldn't have to then would be clear now that you told anybody, so we wouldn't have to wait to the recital, let's say. So it would be better for our clan councils and women's nation right now.
Okay, well, protocols is actually every onagora within the Great Law of Peace. There's what, 117 wampums It's all protocol. It talks about everything, the protocol of how you are supposed to be in this world. So now then let's talk about something specific, a protocol in council. Yes, a protocol in council is that nobody is supposed to be talking about anything personal. It's all business. It's public level. Nobody is supposed to be, like you said, gossiping, that kind of stuff. So then what we're identifying here is protocols are so vast that I can go on and on and on and on and talk for weeks about protocols. So we don't do that. What we do is we have, just like in reality, we all learn protocols from our mothers and fathers, from our sisters and brothers, from our friends. We learned how to walk in this world. We learned how to be fair, how to be just. So protocols of council, everybody knows these protocols. People choose not to, or to pretend like they don't know them. And then they say, whose protocols? Stewart's? What kind of nonsense is this? So I'm not going to say this is the protocol. What I'm going to identify to you is that anybody who's coming in brand new into the Women's Nation or walks into this longhouse, am I going to listen to that person who's going to come in and say, hey, protocols? I ain't going to listen jack shit to that person. Why should I listen to that person? What kind of experience, knowledge, history do they have with law? So what happens is, if somebody walked into this house, you know what they're going to do? I'm not going to allow them to be jumping up every time they're going to say, hey, what is this? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I think it should be this way. No goddamn way. That's not permitted. No way. That person is going to sit down and shut up, and they're going to be listening to other people who know, and they're going to get guidance from the people who know. So within each clan, understand that the temporary representative, the person who's holding that, is that title. They are holding the equivalent of that, their war chief. So if you're in a Women's Nation meeting in the Bear Clan, and the temporary Bear Clan clan mother says protocols and this, you know what? The person who's going to be stupid enough to say whose protocols, stewards, you can tell that person, either you sit down and shut up, or you get the hell out. One of the two. Because that person is clearly on an agenda. And so protocols are taught to you by the person right in front of you in the line that you're standing in. So everybody listen to the person in front of you. And if you think you're going to start disrupting and throwing out this other idea to the person standing five people ahead of you and say, hey, start a new lane on the left, start a new lane on the right. Well, good for all of you who are going to move out of that line. But you'll be influenced by some idiot who doesn't know nothing, who just comes into the process. Good for you if you allow that to happen. So protocols will be applied through the living process. So when it gets there, well, who knows what protocol is going to be necessary to draw upon when somebody steps outside of law. We don't know. So when specifically, like this thing that came up in the Bear Clan with a specific person that we all know that had this issue with Mary Claude, for her to come out and then say that, which protocols? It's a very disrespectful person. Not respecting their own words and their own choices as to where they position themselves. They position themselves here because they believe something, and then, well, just because they didn't see it their way, now they discredit it. Good. They didn't belong here in the first place. And we know that we're dealing with people like this, left and right. They're gonna be coming left and right out of the woodwork, especially when we're on this medium. So we're not allowing it. I ain't allowing it no more. People such as the person that we all know who I'm talking about, who tried to find her way in through up with Zusne and then came to us and tried to find her pet. We tried to help her. There's no helping her. That's not our fault. That's her fault. And when that person doesn't want to listen to the entity that they are sitting in their house, then the protocols will be applied without that person even knowing it. If they can say which protocols, well, then I'll apply it happily to them. And as they're screaming and complaining and crying about it, I'll apply it even more happily, because that person is there under a false agenda. I like dealing with people who are on false agendas because they're the easiest to deal with. They're also fun too. Okay, so protocol will be applied this way. Everybody know it in the Woman's Nation. Your person to look to for protocol is the head, the representative within each of those clans. So it's not to say that they know that they're 100% certain, but if there is then a dispute, a legitimate dispute, then that person can ask for immediate or now through the Saturday to a wampum bridge. So usually the Women's Nation meetings happen on a Saturday anyway. So if you had an issue, well, it could be then bridged tonight on the Saturday night. Or sometimes you have your clan meetings, whatever, during the week. Well, now it can be bridged on the next Saturday. So if the solution cannot be arrived at locally, meaning within that clan, from the clan mother to the person, if it can't be resolved locally, then it will be bridged on the Saturday. Does that answer your question, Elsa?
Sorry. I just wanted you to go quickly and say, for example, don't interrupt, don't gossip, talk personal, few things like that, just to make it clear. So when in each of our clans, right now the worship job, it's falling on the heads, and just for heads to be respected when they say this is not the protocols, just for it to be clear and for things to go smoother.
Okay, well, like I said, I can't really say this protocol, that protocol, because the law from beginning to end is all protocols. The law about everything. So just keep fairness, keep just in mind. And if the people cannot see it, if they cannot arrive at a proper conclusion together, then the bridge will be there to address it. So in advance, yeah, everybody, don't do nothing stupid. Don't talk stupid. Don't talk dumb. Don't be aggressive. Be a good person. That's a protocol. Yeah, other than that, I mean, we go on and on this, but law recital, this is going to be everybody's protocols, and we know that that's just a little over a moon away now. We're looking at probably about 31, 32 days, something like that. So protocols, everything, everybody's going to hear it there. Anything else on this? Anything else? Or are you all right?
No, second question I had for you is you spoke about the worship. So I guess this is for a nation council or Grand Council or even the Longhouse Council. But I'm asking you, should we nominate somebody in each class?
No, there's no such thing as nominating. You know that.
No,
Nominating does not take place.
but I mean,
A person has to show eligibility. They have to be eligible and then they have to show qualifications. So it's not like you are ever gonna be trying to nominate anybody for anything. So for this, just don't get too rambunctious. This is a mechanism that we just, because of the way things have transpired within the Women's Nation, it's something that just came about in conversation and it's gonna be applied. So don't get too rambunctious with it. It's gonna be applied. It's gonna happen at its pace. Yeah, but like we said, it's gonna happen at the next women's council, so. You're gonna see it. It's in the lines of where we can talk and talk about it, but it's a waste of time talking and talking about it. Till we get there, and we do it and we see it. Okay, anything else there?
no,
Alrighty, nobody else then? Okay, here's a protocol. Let's say Wolf Clan. No, Wolf Clan meeting. We're at a Wolf Clan meeting and we're talking about all the business. Okay, then, well, next thing you know, the Wolf Clan is in a general meeting in a Longhouse. And one person within the Wolf Clan stands up and says, I got this idea. Does that sound legal? Does that sound like it's within protocol? Anybody?
No.
It's not legal. You cannot do that. This is what everybody wants to think, that yes, an individual has the right to address in council or whatever. No, you don't. You don't. No person has the right as an individual to address anything in council. Your opportunity to do that is in your clan meeting. In your clan meeting, you present, this is what I got. I want to present this in the general meeting. Your clan mother or your chief will tell you yes or no. And you're going to accept that, like it or not. So that's a protocol right there. Everybody get used to that. Swallow that pill. This is not in the non-native world where you have chaos and a million different voices saying a million different things. No, here within the council process of the clans and the women's, men's council, general council, there is order, there is structure, there is a way of how to get a single voice from one person into the collective in an instant. And that's going to be applied and followed, nothing else. Okay, we got more steak for tomorrow. That left, oops, sorry, all that leftovers. Okay, so there's one extra protocol. Whenever we can think, of specific protocols, specific applications as it's happening, then we'll address it. We'll put it out there. Okay, nothing else then? Then this is gonna be one of those times. See how it is? We can be very efficient. We don't have to drag it on and on. We can end right now. See, but I do notice myself that when there is translation, it just lasts longer no matter what, because sometimes I have to like repeat to get my mind back to where I was talking and add on. So maybe sentences are overlapping. But when there's no translation, there's no overlapping. We're short, we're concise. How long have we been here now? What time is it?
8:43.
Oh, well, we're almost that long. Never mind. Okay, so we're just gonna close. And this sometimes, like we said, this night will be different. Don't ever expect a regimented thing like what we know during the Wednesday Zooms or the reconstitution. Here, it's gonna be much more informal, much more of the living process. Sometimes we'll get together to sing, just to sing a song, and that will be it. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, you remind me with that. Ayun from the South had suggested a long time ago that why wouldn't we just meet to sing and to share songs? And actually, with this group of the women that are doing the moon dance in Mexico, they gather for that to share songs. So they give the words, they learn what they are, they go with the beat. So I know, of course, that would imply protocols, because it's not like now anybody can just reproduce the song because they think they have the right, and there will be with learning the protocols of exchanging within nations or something. But it seems that it's something that is coming, from the magnetic field of our Mother Earth. So now that you say it, it reminds me of that. Yes, maybe that should be.
And that reminds me of something else with Ayun, is that next Saturday, I think it's next Saturday, we're going to be doing a teachings, sharing about the 7 dancers. This is going to be done, I know it's Saturday, but it's going to be English and Spanish, because it's part of the teachings incorporated with what we've been doing with Ayun. Anyways, so next Saturday, 7 dancers teachings. That's what's going to be happening there. Okay, we're going to close. Nothing else, right? Can't think of nothing else. I don't want to think of anything else. Talked about enough already. The garden this year, I don't know if everybody's heard this, if we already related this or not, but to emphasize on this year the garden went from love, from heart to mind. So it's from love to mind is kind of a digression, because mind means then you're surviving on amygdala. It's thought. It's no longer love based or even love balanced, which is not coincidental, but it's the way at this time, as we're at a transition, as we're at the time of the 7 dancers, of when the skin is shed, then a whole bunch of processes kick in that we never think of, that what's happening right here on the level of our skin rejuvenating itself, old skin cells dying off, skin cells rejuvenating. So next week, all of that will be addressed in the 7 dancers sharing next Saturday. Yeah, I think that's it. Forget what else. I know we had other stuff, but long day today. So, okay, Onagadiwahi Kojokwa, Yizagahawe, how do you say that?
Ayon Sewanodo.
Ayon Sewanodo. Ayon Sewanodo, this council process, det var då jag sa till Gunhan när de där hetsen är gonna gå rir där de har kvar. Jag kan inte igen ha damdawe aron hetsen när gazat stassar när gunungwe damdawe aron hetsen gazat stassar när agwego ona gora gayana rasa go när skana dana asset niga tardige ganyaga hagar radinato ronata runi riskade oge damdawe ori wheel gori shunsida dana gazat stassar Dogatena na hodi adaksa. Air to solid, air to solid, air to solid. Kenya has a way to need Joanna.
Yay!
It's later. Woohoo!
San Andreas.
Get ready.